Welcome back to the 100 horror films in 31 days, day 24. I got in 4 films, and these were really great viewings. Today, I have just one great movie after another, and I started off with a fantastic film. This is Obsessions, 1969's Obsessions. It's a Dutch-German production by basically a startup company called Scorpio, directed by a guy named Pim Pear. And he and producer Dieter Geisler, who is also the main protagonist in this film, uh, put this film together, and it was scripted in part with Martin Scorsese. Martin Scorsese was doing a film and been going to Amsterdam and somehow met these guys, and he helped these guys rewrite kind of a Peeping Tom script. It's a fantastic movie. Basically, it's a voyeuristic story about a guy that's lives in a flat. He's drilled a hole in his wall, and he's watching these different circumstances play out in the flat next door. First, it starts off as just kind of a kinky sexual thing, but then he sees things get a lot stranger. There's potentially a murder involved. He goes to the point where he becomes so obsessed with watching what's going on, the events in this other flat, he even breaks in to the other flat while the main guy's gone and finds a girl chained up in the bathroom and things like that. It's another one of these films that I think builds an intensity, and it's just a wonderful, wonderful, highly underrated film. I loved it. Uh, the production values are tremendous on this for a low budget kind of startup film that this film really was with Scorpio. They even had Bernard Herrmann music. Somehow they managed to get Bernard Herrmann, who's his fee even at that time was like $100,000 per film. They were able to. He didn't do an original score for the film, but he gave them uh, basically some pre-programmed, already written music, which was Bernard Herrmann. I mean, it was fantastic, and it worked really well with the film. So you got Martin Scorsese embellishing on the script. You got Herrmann music. I mean, which of course Bernard Herrmann, of course, wrote most of the classic themes for all the Alfred Hitchcock movies. How could you go wrong with this? And the reality is that you couldn't. It was a fantastic film, and I highly recommend it. This release from Exploitation, I believe this is. Let's see. This is Cult Epics. This is a Cult Epics release. It's got an interview with Pim, the director. It's got an interview with Dieter Geisler, the producer, and of course the main actor in the film. It's also got an interview with Martin Scorsese. And then it's got what I thought was very interesting, a documentary excerpt from a documentary on Scorpio Films and how that little production company came to be. So I can't recommend this release highly enough. This is a fantastic release. It's a Blu-ray DVD combo. But yeah, that's Obsessions, made in Amsterdam, Holland, 1969, and it's it's as good as Peeping Tom, but certainly not enough people talk about it. Obsessions. And then next up is another outstanding film. This is 1977's A la Carta, Mondo Macabro release, directed by Juan Lopez Montezuma. So it's a Mexican film. Tina Balsamo, Tina, not even close. Tina Romero plays A la Carta, this girl she is in convent orphanage slash orphanage, and she and another girl named Justine develop a very, very close friendship, as in kind of like lesbian friendship. But unfortunately, Alucarda is into the black arts, Satanism and witchcraft and things like that. And so, under the noses of these nuns in this convent, you've got two girls that are essentially worshiping Satan. And they basically end up debauching everyone around them and having participating in orgies and lesbianism and satanic rituals that accelerate and amplify as the movie gets towards the end of the climax of the film. It's a crazy, crazy ride, very avant-garde, and I would say the analogy to Ken Russell's The Devils is an appropriate one, because it is a very subversive film, at least from a standpoint of those with any kind of religious implications or inclinations. That if you're a very religious person, and this could be a rough watch for you. I loved it. I thought it broke boundaries, and it's a bloody, gory film. I mean, towards the last 30-40 minutes, when it reaches a crescendo, it's a wild, wild ride, almost like The Exorcist in a way. But I think Ken Russell's The Devils is the most appropriate comparison to this film. This is a powerful film. I give this an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. This release has from Mondo has, well, it's pretty bare bones as far as internal, but it's got a documentary on the film's director, and then an interview with Guillermo del Toro talking about the film, or mainly about this director, who is not well known, obviously, by North American audiences. But yeah, I mean, he produced a fantastic, fantastic satanic horror film here, and if you're into that kind of thing, I would highly recommend you check out Alucarda. Outstanding. And then next up, got back into this Paul Naschy set, and I checked out 1973's Vengeance of the Zombies. Right there. Now, Vengeance of the Zombies is probably one of the weirder, trippier films in the Paul Naschy filmography. It's a strange film, basically. Paul Naschy plays three roles in this. He plays kind of a Hindu guru, Krishna type guy. And then he plays the scarred brother of this Hindu fellow that's essentially a zombie. That's he was basically scarred after an event where he was supposedly burned alive by villagers, and now this brother has come back trying to wreak vengeance on. Basically for being scarred. He's resurrected. He's killing off women and then resurrecting them, and he uses this little wax statue, and he sets fire to the wax statue, and these zombie-like women come back to do his bidding. That's basically the story. It's a crazy. It's probably the most incoherent plot of any of the Naschy films, but it's a load of fun. I mean, you've got zombies that are blinking their eyes and zombies that are grinning in this. You got a lot of bloodletting and gore, heads getting chopped off. I mean, it's a great Euro trash film. It's just don't go into it with a very critical eye. Just enjoy the ride. It's a fun film. Just don't go into it with a critical eye thinking you'll be okay. This was, of course, directed by Paul Naschy's constant director, Leon Klimovsky. But it's I think even Paul Naschy might have made some comments and quotes saying this was kind of his psychedelic film, Vengeance of the Zombies. I like it. I like it a lot. So then I went ahead and kept going with Naschy, and I watched a giallo that he did, and that was the Blue Eyes of the Broken Doll. Now I've seen all these many times, but given the fact that this Scream Factory release just came out, I wanted to check the quality of the prints, and they're fantastic. Every single film is just fantastic. Blue Eyes of the Broken Doll is a Paul Naschy giallo film, made in 1974, and it's I think it's a very serviceable, excellent giallo film. I think he's got nothing to be ashamed of with this, even though it's a Spanish production. I mean, I thought it was very good. Excellent twist. You know, all giallos typically have this kind of a whodunit twist ending. This kind of had a double twist ending, which I enjoyed. Paul Naschy in this film doesn't play a particularly endearing character. He's basically kind of a gangster type character. So everybody that actually the gangster character has a propensity to strangle women. So as is typical of many giallos, everybody in this film is a suspect. You know, just by the way they act and their history, which I think, you know, it's helpful to the storyline. But I liked it a lot. I thought it was a very good giallo, and highly recommend that one as well. So far, I mean, 3 of the 5 films, I really enjoyed these Naschy films. They hold up to repeat viewings. Horror Rises from the Tomb, Vengeance of the Zombies, Blue Eyes of the Broken Doll. All those 3 films hold up to repeat viewings. I've still got to go Human Beasts, and then Night of the Werewolf. That's coming up tomorrow. So that'll do it for day 24 of the 100 Horror Films in 31 Days. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.